Okay, to make our fire pit, I start with a 31-gallon metal trash can with a lid. Also be using a 12-inch by 12-inch by 1-inch landscape block. Tools I'll be using will be my drill with somewhere around a 3/8 inch drill bit. I'll be using my grinder with a metal cutting blade. I'll be using my metal snips. When you're cutting the metal trash can, you're going to want to have a good heavy-duty pair of gloves. And also while you're cutting, you're going to want to have the use of a pair of safety glasses, wearing earplugs. I'll be using a marker. I want to use some heavy-duty sandpaper. Also be using my T-square to make some reference marks on our plywood worktop. I have a couple scrap pieces of 2x4, one cut at 13 inches, and another cut at 7 inches. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 7-inch block, using it to scribe a line around the entire bottom portion of the trash can. Then we want to take our 13-inch piece, scribing a line around the entire trash can at this height. Okay, so now when we get ready to cut the metal trash can, you want to make sure you have your safety glasses on, your earplugs in, your gloves on. The first line we're going to cut is our 7-inch mark. And before we go to the next line to be cut, I like to take the sandpaper and I'm going to sand around the edge to get rid of any of the burrs and dull this edge so that if you do handle it with your bare hands, it's not sharp enough to cut you. Okay, now I'm going to make a couple lines. I'm going to draw a couple lines on the plywood in both directions. just to give us a way to measure exact 4 points on the bottom of our trash can. Now I want to get an idea of the diameter of our cut. It's around 18 and a half. 18 and a quarter is what it is. So then on our reference lines, we're going to mark a radius number, 18 and a quarter. So it'll be 9 and an eighth on every line. So now we can take our trash can, lining it up with the marks we made. And then making a mark on our trash can at our straight lines. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a couple marks that are going to be wedges left in the metal that I can bend to the inside. This can is going to be somewhat light. The trash can is going to be somewhat light when I'm done, and as it sits, I want this to have some weight to it. So I'm going to be cutting ears that I'm going to fold to the inside. Then I can actually take my landscape block, laying it down on the ears, securing the cut trash can to the ground. At every one of these marks, the bottom line, the bottom piece of our metal, we want to be 3 inches wide. And then we mark our center line straight up. We want this portion to be 1 inch wide. And we're going to make this pattern at every mark. Okay, so now we're going to be cutting this line with our grinder, and we'll be using our snips to cut our tabs before we start with the grinder. So now that all of our tabs are cut, we can cut in between our tabs, making sure not to cut into the tab with our grinder. Okay, so now that our cut is all done, we're going to take these tabs, bending them in. So now when we take the top part of our burn pit and set it down, be able to take our block, lining the corners up with each one of the tabs that we just bent inside. Now when the wind blows, it can't blow around or tip over. But just like on the bottom piece, we're going to want to use our sandpaper and sand all of our edges. Now before we sand our tabs, I'm going to round off these corners to get rid of the sharp corners. So after making a few marks, I'm going to drill a few holes in the bottom of the piece that goes inside of our fire pit. This piece will actually hold our firewood, and will actually, after the fire is done and everything's cool and you want to empty it out, you'll be able to pull it out and clean it off. But I'd like to drill some holes in the top just in case if it gets rained on, the water can actually drain through some of the holes. It's also going to provide a little bit of airflow for when you're burning on it, the air can flow up through some of the holes. Okay, so once we have our holes drilled in the bottom, set our base, take our concrete block, setting it down on the tabs, nice and secure. Then we can take our bottom piece, dropping it in over the concrete block. There we have it. Fire pit made out of a metal trash can. Now, when you're done with the fire, and it's going to be, say, just in storage sitting in the yard, I like to keep the lid, and when I'm done burning, it'll keep water out of the inside.